Hey, beautiful people. It is July the 14th, 2013 at 10:30 a.m. What a beautiful day it is. At least we've got a little cool weather in here now after this little tropical storm has just passed through. Many persons have been asking me why I haven't done vids lately and saying that they missed them, but right now it's a really personal time for me as we're going through this shift, which is astrologically the Planetary Merkabah that is at the end of July, July 29th. And as we enter the Lion's Gate, I've been working on working ceremonial prayers for some time about New Earth. Many of you guys know that I've been doing ceremony ever since harmonic convergence, or opening the 1111 doorway, or 12-12-12, or going out to Hopi land and doing ceremony with the Hopi elders and the Apache elders, and all over the planet. I've been doing these things for many years, and many of us have various parts in this ascension process, and some of it is just the awakening and expansion of our personal selves and our light bodies, and some of those of us remember that we're here to, we're acting as Elohim, as God's incarnate boots on the ground, and we focused our intent and our thought and our emotion. And I don't say this out of ego, because ego is in the brain and you lose your abilities to truly create when you work out of the brain. The heart, when you've activated your heart chakra and you're working from that point, having shifted your consciousness from the duality plurality of the brain and into the heart, you have amplified the effects of your powers by many thousands of times. And each time you go through another higher chakra download or expansion of the light body, you're just amplifying that effect more. And the only way that you can do that is by having shifted your consciousness from your head and into your heart, which is ascension. That's all ascension is. It's really a rather simple thing. But once you do that, then you start realizing that your thoughts and emotions are creating your reality, and you're stepping into a fifth dimensional experience. And your light body is in a constant state of expansion. And then by law of attraction, we start having those synchronicities in our life and start working with other people that are on the same wavelength and doing things as a collective, because when we join together in groups, councils, if you will, you hear about like the Arcturian councils or the Syrian councils or all these other different councils, a council of 7 or a council of 9. That's just various groups of people who come together in unified focused intent. And the numbers of those in the group has a specific frequency and design for what will be created. It's just really interesting when you start understanding how that all works. And anyway, on June 20th, as I said in one of my last videos, I don't know if it was the last or the one previous, Sandy Boje, Kim Fuller, Cindy, and Daniela and I all came together as a council that Sandy had called us to go into the Vatican and to do work there. And as I've mentioned before, I'm a fractal of Archangel Michael at my highest in this universe levels. And then as we go past the archangels, we go back into the eternals and back to Creator Source. And as that dark crystal was removed from my heart, which it's interesting what happened after that, because used to I felt like there was a pea-sized spot within my heart, which which was just like a little rock or a stone or something. And as that was removed with my work with Daniela and Trish, aka Tinkerbell, Trish Will, the Divine Will, and Trish is Faye. She's played the part of Mama Faye for quite some time, and she's elfin, and she is, you can look at her and tell. I mean, it's just amazing. But as we did work, the three of us one night, we were working with the men in black, and they removed this dark God particle from my heart, which Trish had seen as being this great big crystal. And we've got this little story going on, which I've expressed in other videos. That's the Peter Pan story. I'm the little boy who would never grow up, and she's Tinkerbell, and Wendy Moira, Angela Darling, is the one who actually activated me. And Wendy Moira is no longer in my life, but Tinkerbell is. And we're playing on much, much higher levels and doing work in different ways. Well, I had written in my books, and I had spoken on many videos about the Men in Black and about how the duality experiment came to be, and that we're at the completion of it now. And with that, June 11th, it was like the night before or the day before that, I did that video, and that might have been June 12th. I don't remember. I'm so timeless now. I just don't think about time anymore. But anyway, that in meditation and in our work, that dark God particle that allowed duality to unfold in my part of the duality experiment was removed from my heart. And with that pea-sized rock left, and I was able to integrate my higher selves. My next higher self is Arcturian, and I came to this this galaxy through the Arcturian portal, and I came from a different universe. And my next higher self is angelic, and next higher self is archangelic. My angelic self being a fractal of Archangel Michael with a little, parts and pieces of others, is who I really identify with at that level. The Arcturian self is more of a the Arcturian self is more working on our localized universe, or that which spins around Alcyon and the Pleiades, and he works on a different level from my angelic self. But with that removal of the God particle, I was able to integrate both of those two parts of my fractal being, which I always received messages from before, but I was not able to fully integrate and embody. And with that removal of that dark God particle, I was able to complete the integration of my Arcturian light body self, which I'm literally merging with now as my light in my field expands. In my angelic self, which I've known all my life, I was an incarnate angel and identified with Archangel Michael, but it took a long time to realize that I'm a fractal of that. There's many of us here on planet who are a fractal of Archangel Michael, so nothing I'm saying is special or different. It's just I worked from that realization. Interestingly enough, after Sandy Boget, Cindy Lepori, Daniela Breen, and Kim Fuller and I went into the Vatican, Sandy was saying that it would be a few days before we would start seeing information of change come out from the Vatican. And since then, we've seen major scandals that has gone down within the Vatican. But it's not the scandals that I want to talk about here. It's the new Pope, Pope Francis, his calling on Archangel Michael to protect the Vatican in his declaration that evil has been terminated within the Vatican, and now that the Vatican is under the protection of Archangel Michael. And July 4th of this year, and July 3rd, I believe, was the first that I'd heard of that. They had placed a statue of Archangel Michael within the Vatican city-state, and he also calls it city-states. He's talking about the 3 city-states that control the planet, and how he's acknowledging it now. And the Vatican is one city-state. London is the city-state that's deals with the global finance, and Washington deals with the military control of the planet. And it's these that are breaking down now and have to break down so that we can create something new. Well, creating something new is really what this message is all about. On December 1st, 2012, I did a video here in my garden, and it was about a ceremony that I began then to remove the roots of the old third world and to bring it into something totally new, the 5th dimensional Mother Earth. And I showed everybody how I was doing a working ceremony, a prayer that I certainly thought was not going to take that long, but it took that long. Actually, I completed it the day after we went into the Vatican. We went into the Vatican on June 20th, and on the summer solstice, June 21st, I finally got the last of the old roots removed from my garden. And that's where I am today. I'm out in my garden. And as you can see, we have nothing remaining but sand. That is all that is here. There's absolutely no soil. I had shown in that video on December 1st, 2012, how this area was full of nothing but sand spurs, and how every time I was trying to grow something and I'd go weed the garden, I was ending up with those sand spurs caught in my hand or in my feet, or they were just constantly growing. So I ended up having to build a grid, an old gold mining technique, to shovel the roots out of the garden. And as I was shoveling those roots out of the garden, which I thought would, and literally I have done this whole area that you see here, this area, which is roughly 90 feet or so long. The actual garden is 75 feet by about I'd say another 60 feet or so. After I'd shoveled all that out, which was all done by hand and by wheelbarrow, I end up with that mound of dirt that you see behind. That's it's about 125 feet long, about, I'd say it's 3 wheelbarrows wide, and it's also got another wheelbarrow on top of it, because I ended up, when I could, I was removing all of this, and here it is too. It's just all these old sand spur roots, the roots of old 3D Earth, which we don't want in our new 5D Earth. We don't want it in our new firmament. And you can see behind me the size of the pile. And it's 3 wheelbarrows wide and an extra one high, and that was all done by hand. And as I finished, I find that we have absolutely nothing in this garden but sand. There is no soil whatsoever. So in my prayer for new 5D Earth, what I end up having to do is create a new firmament. And so I had located Actually, I've got two tree companies now, tree service companies that have brought wood chips, and those wood chips are the base of the new firmament. And it is well, let me back up. What I did before the wood chips is I added cardboard. I don't know if we're going to be able to see this. I put cardboard on the, can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. I put cardboard on top of the sand, which stops all the remaining seeds from the sand spurs and all the other grasses. That stops all those from growing. And then on top of that, I put a layer of wood chips, which at first I was going about 5 inches thick, and then I started realizing I haven't got enough material. And all my material I'm doing in here is all by hand. I know a lot of people said in comments of my last video, why don't I just use heavy equipment? And that kind of defeats the purpose of doing ceremony. Ceremony is a ritual. Ceremony is a prayer. Ceremony is intent. Ceremony is what you focus your thought, your emotion, your intent on to create that which you wish to manifest. And I wish to manifest a new earth. And so, in a new firmament, new 5D soil for Mother Earth to be planted within. And so, what I've done is I laid out all the wood chips on the base on top of the cardboard. And since soil is not really available here in this particular area of Florida, but we do have plenty of horse ranches, which is really cool. I found horse ranches that want to give away their manure, and their manure is in sawdust and wood chips. And sawdust and wood chips with a little lime breaks down as it composts into new soil. And I found one horse ranch just right up the road that has taken all its old manure and wood chips and put it in this old trail, and they actually have composted it, and it's created a wonderful new soil. And so what I've done is I laid out the wood chips from the tree service, and then I laid out all the horse manure that is not composted, and then I plug out the center where you can see right here where I add the composted material, and the uncomposted wood chips and horse manure actually holds moisture, and so I don't have to water it near as much. In fact, with all the rains that we've had lately, I hadn't had to water in quite some time. But back in the old sand, when it was just sand, if it didn't rain for a day, then you had problems. And I had done tests to see which plants might work in just sand. And I put various kinds of squashes and melons and cantaloupes and arugula that I have plenty of seed. I'm growing a lot of lot 4 seed within this garden, and I'd put it directly into the sand. And what I find is that's got to be watered on a daily basis. And when I build my garden with the wood chips and the horse manure like this, I can go many days without having to water. And if it rains, then that just holds everything into place. And so anyway, that's the prayer. And on the outside of the fence, originally in my last video we had found this aquaponics guy, and had gotten soil that he mixed up, because he does both aquaponics and soil gardening, and he said that the soil would actually last for about 3 years, but it didn't last for 3 years. But since we couldn't afford so much soil, I took one shovel load, square shovel load wide, from the side of the cyclone fence here, and I shoveled it out a shovel load deep and a shovel load wide, and then I backfilled it with all the other soil. But here in 6 months, that soil is used up. And so we've actually got to rework it a little bit. You can see how I do my companion planting here too. I've got various lettuces, red leaf lettuce or sorrel or other green leaf lettuces down here, and then I plant pole beans going up in one area, tomatoes growing up, bell peppers, and then on the outside, as you can see, I've got cantaloupes or watermelons growing to the outside. Yeah, can you see that watermelon right there that's the computer's coming out of the shadow of? Yeah, and so by doing it that way, I get a really good harvest. And but the soil is getting used up, so I had to figure out how to build new soil, and so that's what I was explaining previously. People have been asking me what all we're growing here. These are Majical dates right here that are started from seed. We've got avocados that are started from seed. That's an avocado tree, and then smaller avocado trees. All my tomatoes are started from seed. Go down and get heirloom tomatoes, or, I mean, you can buy seed packs. We spent about $400 in seed, and I had about 120 of it myself. But what I learned is, like tomatoes and things like that, just go down and get an heirloom organic tomato and throw that into good soil and take all the seeds out of it, throw it into good soil, and that's all what you need for starting your seeds, and then just keep saving your seeds from there. We got all kinds of apple trees that I'm starting from seed, lemon trees, pear trees. Let's see here. Oh, that's Caribbean fruit in these small containers here. These are all cuttings from the rosemary. Got loquat. Saw a neighbor's plants with loquats in there, and grabbed a bunch of the loquats while they were on the tree and started new plants from seed. These carrot tops right here, that's an interesting story. The carrot top is nothing but the top off the carrot. I wonder if I can where's that? Right there. The carrot top is nothing but the tops off the carrots. And I put them back to the ground to see if they'll grow. And now they grew new tops. They're not growing new bottoms, but at this point I'm checking out to see if they will actually go to seed like the rest of my other carrots are going to seed now. Seed is one of the biggest things that we need. You can see the tops to the carrot seeds there, and so they're starting to go to seed. Seed's one of the biggest things, and seed's expensive now for good organic heirloom seed. And so what I do is I grow for seed, and that way I don't need to be purchasing any more other than that original seed that we had. Turn on my LED lights, and you can see all the holes in the roof. I'm gonna have to patch this up at some point. My LED lights in there. Those are my 4-foot tube lights. Many of you guys know that I was doing LEDs before I just got out of the 3D world and the money making and went straight into the spiritual and working on transformation of Mother Earth full time. And so we collect seeds. This is all arugula right there. And when I first harvested the plants before it dried out, it was, I'd say about 100 pounds of arugula plant and seed. And that's some of the best arugula I've ever had in my life. And actually arugula does pretty good in the sand. So it's going to do a whole lot better in the new firmament. And you can see on the back wall here how I save all the plants. I harvest what I need with with the plants for food as they're growing, but I let them continue as the plant is aging and it starts to bolt, and then I save the seed. And each in each of these little pods is just dozens of seeds. And so, what do we got here? That's a mustard. Yeah, that's green mustard and red mustard, and that was endive. And up top, that looks like another type of mustard there. You got Chinese cabbages and the giant radishes. Those are just amazing. And so anyway, and it's just like my corn. My corn, just like the Hopi does, I take my corn and I tie it and dry it up. And then this becomes my seed for my next harvest. Same thing with my sunflowers. I take my giant sunflower pods, and this will become both human and chicken food. And if we start planting enough of it, can run fuel for a diesel tractor, because you can squeeze the sunflowers and make your oil. Let's see, we got a little dill here, and okras. Man, got some good okra this year. It is dynamite. Got all types of eggplants and peppers and organic soybeans and basils and pole beans. And so I just take all my seed and I just dry it out, and as I dry it, it gets ready for planting the next stages. Same thing with my onions and stuff. And then of course I showed last go round how I make chicken poop tea, and make my chicken poop tea in a bucket, and that becomes a spray fertilizer that I put in my sprayer and spray at the base of the plants. I tell you, it's starting to get a bit warm out here already today. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning. I found a really good thing about Walmart. I know a lot of us are always like, yeah, don't buy at Walmart, that really hurts the American economy. But you know something? To get your boxes to lay down on the sand to build the new firmament upon, it works pretty good. It works really, really good. Oh man, oh man, oh man. And we'll walk outside to the other end of the garden here. I go out and I get my own horse manure and bring it in by hand. Everything is done by hand here. Pull it with my old truck. That truck was my grandfather's truck. That's a Hurricane Katrina rescue. See where all the rust is at the base of it? That's because it was underwater when it got rescued. I lost my 52 Chevy then. I couldn't. My truck I had for 22 years and drove a million miles. From the Arctic Ocean all the way down to Florida and then through Mexico and stuff, that went underwater, and I didn't have a place to restore it. And so I ended up selling Green John, to a guy named John Green. Synchronicities were just amazing. And so that was the perfect guy to have it. He wanted to restore it back to original, and he was going to take it apart and boil it down, which had to be done, and it wanted to get saved. Yesterday, I was in need of new grow buckets, and I called to the universe and I said, man, I got to have some new grow buckets. And my next door neighbor came over and he said he's leaving on a cruise for the next 7 days. And I said, do you know of any nurseries around here that has any grow buckets? And he said, no, I don't know of any, but I got a few in the back. And anyway, for feeding his cats for a week, I got grow buckets. Which was freaking mind-boggling to me. I was like, I asked for it, and within 30 minutes, it was right there. And that's just amazing how that happens. But manifestation has happened really quickly now. Got all my watermelons. There's a little one popping up right here, and a bigger one ready to harvest over here. And cantaloupes coming out the side, and up front where we've got the chicken coops, we've got an orchard growing out there. We've got all different types of bamboo, 4 different types. We've got apple trees, we've got pear trees, peach trees, plum trees, lemon trees, several grapefruits. It just goes on and on and on. And at the base of them, I do the same type gardening like I do here around the base of those trees, so it helps to feed the nutrients into the tree, and at the same time I use the tree for bean poles, or for pole beans, or tomato plants, or other things that grow up into the tree. And at the base I plant lettuces, and around the outside I plant more corn. And so anyway, that's pretty cool. So up front where the chickens are, and a lot of times I've got more chicken poop than I can actually utilize. So a lot of times the chicken poop ends up as fertilizer for all those trees and other plants out there. And so out here, I just started a new little herbery garden. We've got all the basils on the outside, and on the inside, I put parsley. In fact, those seeds haven't come up yet, but you can see a couple of Italian parsleys there that are coming up. And then tomato plants growing up the side of the fence, and then cucumbers growing up, squashes growing up. And right now we're in a changeover. That's why everything's not looking so good right now. It's time to change out all the plants, and they're just now starting to come up. But and then watermelons, which are planted in the same, like I said before, I've taken a shovel load, a square shovel load, width and depth, all along here, where I've added the new soil into along the fence line, which, since we don't have any other soil out there, it's just pure sand, we've got actual good soil that is along the fence line, which handles all the plants. So all along the fence of this old barnyard, it is planted everywhere. Got arugulas coming up. I love my arugula. And like, here's the new cantaloupes. These will go out, and then the new, I don't know if you can see that, and the new cucumbers will grow up along with the tomatoes up the side of the fence. Got lemongrass here, all kinds of good stuff. So anyway, people have asked to see what I'm doing in my garden and how I'm doing it, since I have such poor soil here. But that's what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, how I'm creating a new firmament. And it is a prayer, it's a ceremony, it's a ritual. Every shovel load is a prayer, and it's all about building new 5D earth. And so the garden is not just feeding me; it is feeding me, but it's all about the changes that we're all doing together. This is just my constant prayer between gathering with others and doing ceremony with them on what I can do to focus my intent. Abraham Hicks. My rooster's crowing. He only started crowing about a week ago. We had to get some new chicken ladies because we had hawks and coyotes and foxes, and even had a black wolf that was getting into the chickens. And so we got a new 7 chicks, hens, and a rooster. And they're just now getting old enough where he started crowing. And so I had to kind of teach him. He was going, I was going, and so we've got this talk going on. This is horseradish. Got a thing of organic horseradish at the garden, or at the grocery store, and just planted it, and it comes back up. You can do that with a lot of your plants. My potatoes and sweet potatoes and stuff like that that's planted out up in the orchard area, that's exactly what's going on. Pineapples, take the tops off your pineapples and put them in the dirt. They'll grow, and they do fantastic in the horse manure. It is just unreal how they're growing in the horse manure. But anyway, and then these are all the starter plants there, and they're just now coming up. Got all different kinds of stuff. That's just, I mean, it's just kicking butt. But anyway, yeah, with the chickens, I had to get new chickens because we were down to 3 from a dozen, and they sure are lovely little ladies, though. They come up and want to bow and stick their butt up and get petted and loved on. And I've had to let the rooster take control of the flock, and these new 7 ladies not get as friendly with them as the older ones. He's kind of gotten a little jealous of me because of the older ones and they're liking to be petted, but I've left his original 7 alone. But anyway, we're going to be making some new chickens here real soon. And I'm going to make a rolling chicken coop, something that's very long and wide and fairly tall, with egg laying capabilities and feeder capabilities within, so it can just push them along in the areas and fertilize different parts of the farm here and start getting some better grasses in here. At some point I'm gonna have to clear it all off and take it all down to the root, just like I did in the garden, but that's going to be when I got a tractor with a bucket on it. I ain't doing all that by hand. The ceremonies in this garden, not out there in the rest of the 8 acres. Oh man. But yeah, we're gonna turn this place into a big paradise. Beautiful orchard and have plants everywhere. And we got grapes growing on all the fences. I'm taking cuttings of grapes and muscadines and Merlot grapes, since I hadn't learned how to turn my water to wine. I hadn't remembered how to turn my water to wine yet, so I got Merlot grapes growing and doing cuttings off of them, and gonna make a nice little orchard. And so anyway, yeah, our thoughts and our emotions and our intent creates the reality which we experience as life. And the more we hold on to the focus of that which we wish to create, the more readily it manifests. Abraham Hicks said a long time ago that 17 seconds of pure focused intent from the heart, 17 seconds is like doing 2,000 hours worth of physical manual labor. Just the removal of the weeds from this ground here is a 7-day-a-week process that took me 6 months, from the 1st of December to the summer solstice. And I spend between 6 hours a day, at least 6 hours a day, in focused intent, where every shovel load is a prayer. Everything I do here is a prayer. There's a lot of 17 seconds that's built up into that 6 months work in this garden. And that's my contribution to humanity and to make the changes. And we see these fractals reoccurring in everything that we do. It's just like the work that Sandy and Kim and Daniela and Cindy and I did going into the Vatican. And we go in to do this work with the focused intent. And I put it in the video before the news even came out from the Vatican of what's going on. And there's many of us that are gathering in groups or earth councils like that now to do our work in our focused intent. When we do it as an individual, like I've done this garden, it's just my energy and effort, my focus intent, my singular power that's reflected in the fractal going out. But when we come together with unified groups doing these focused intents, we're geometrically amplifying the effect, multiplied times the light and the intensity of the focus of each individual participating. It's almost really cubed. It's geometrically amplified. It's not just squared, because we're not just two-dimensional people. It's not just X and Y squared. We are cubed. We are spherical light beings that are constantly in a state of expansion and amplifying our power and the light within our field, which is the raw energy. That we are nothing but energy. There is nothing but energy and consciousness in the world. And that consciousness is slowed into the divine plan, or an individual's divine thought, into light, the divine vision, into speech. Slow down into the speech to invoke it. Felt from the heart. The heart is the transition between the spiritual worlds and the material worlds. And then the lower chakras connect us to the field, and how that comes into our life. Our power centers are solar plexus. Our connection to all other consciousness and life forms and intuition is coming out of the sacral chakra. Our connection to Mother Earth, which grounds and allows these manifestations to come into existence, that's done through the root chakra and through our earth chakra. And with the expansion of our chakras, we've got the 12 chakras within our aligned field, but as we expand our light body, we've got chakras that are activating all around us. And they're nothing more than energy portals. And those energy portals allow consciousness to come into the field, allows consciousness expansion. And with that, we start realizing that truly we are that energy. All we're doing is bringing ourselves into this physical being. And how we utilize ourselves in this physical being, our earth transportation mechanism, is all up to us. And we can utilize it for self. We can utilize it for material purposes if that's what you so wish, but that's a disempowerment. Or we can utilize it to change the reality that we walk within, and to create a new earth, create a new firmament. And that's where my focus is, and to truly make the changes that we need to have a new earth for all of humanity. It's not about me. My life has never really just been about me, and any time that I went to that ego self and tried to make it about me, then things just didn't work. And so I learned that the more that I focus on my intent on others or the collective, or for the collective of humanity, the more I really empower myself, and the more power I really find I have. And I think a lot of us are coming to that point in our existence and our lives. And now it's all about what we can do, not only as individuals for our own consciousness expansion, our own light body expansion. It's what we can do to change the reality, because we're not just changing our consciousness. We are changing the whole universe at this point. Everything we do affects everything else. And that's, to me, the greatest thing that we can do as individuals, is to be aware of who we truly are in our consciousness, and to put it to really, really good use. And to do it as individuals, and then gather with those of us who are parts of our soul family, or the groups that we came to Earth School with, and to make those changes on a much, much greater way for all. Something that occurred with me, and I've been hesitant to talk about it, but my last 3 videos have been about a more expanded awareness of consciousness, and I've been hesitant to talk about some things because so many people take things like that in ego, which is not at all how I mean it. You cannot empower yourself if you're working from the egoic levels. When you're truly in your heart, you're not working from the egoic levels. But with my expansion and integration, man, I'm getting soaked. That's what I was saying. This is how I can, if I'm wearing t-shirts, I can count how hot the day is by how many t-shirts I go through in the day. And so this one's lasted about 45 minutes. what had happened when I integrated my Arcturian self and when I integrated my angelic self, and I start perceiving from those realms, my Arcturian self took me into the awareness of all that's going on within our local universe, or everything that revolves around Pleiades, Alcyon. And my angelic self, when I connect with that, it's like I'm in an instant state of seeing the whole galaxy, not just our localized universe that revolves around Alcyon, revolves around Sirius, but that which revolves around the center of the Milky Way galaxy. That state right there of attuning to my angelic self allowed me to be able to view the Milky Way galaxy like it's within, where are we there? Within my hands. And it's a totally different frequency and a totally different vibration. And there's different light which rains down upon me, which I experience when I'm coming from that viewpoint. I'm hesitant to say where I was told to advance to, but I'm going to go ahead and say it, because we all have this capability. But for years, I was limited to my ability to see within Mother Earth, and I couldn't go out into the solar system, and I couldn't go out into the galaxy, and I couldn't go out all the way back to Prime Creator, which, as I had the integration with my angelic self, which I know my angelic self is a fractal of Archangel Michael, I was able to work my way from my angelic self to my archangelic self to the eternal self, which the Eternals were the ones that God created initially to send out to create other universes, to have the experiences for him to understand who he was, back to Prime Creator. So it's working the way up the ladder. And my messages have been lately to stay as much as I can in that essence of Prime Creator, which we all are part of Prime Creator. There is no consciousness, nothing in any of existence that's not a part of Prime Creator. But as boots on the ground, physically incarnate, angelic being, the messages that I receive is to hold the energies as much as I possibly can of Prime Creator, and while in physical form. So I'm creating this point, which I am in this physical Earth transportation mechanism vessel that holds the embodiment of Spirit and Prime Creator on Earth, and put my consciousness into Prime Creator and to create that energetic flow from Prime Creator here. Many of us realize that what we were doing when we can advance our consciousness and hold those spaces all the way is we're channeling those energies as boots on the ground into Mother Earth from that highest source that we can reach and achieve. And there are few things more important that I see for me at this time than holding those particular energies. And so I said it. My consciousness is, as much as I possibly can, attuned to the level of Prime Creator, working my way back up that ladder and channeling those energies into Mother Earth during this time of the initiation of the Planetary Merkabah. And Sandra Walter is so very right in what she's saying about this time is all about self. And I feel it's how far we can advance ourself and integrate. And she does Ascension integration, and she's got some wonderful classes on Ascension and Ascension techniques, the Ascension integration techniques. And for those persons that really need assistance in going through their ascension process, further than what I've explained in my videos were all about how to ascend, how to move your consciousness into your heart and begin your process, how to activate your chakras and your light body, and how to take the steps. Well, we're all different teachers, and we all have different ways of expressing ourselves. And Some people might understand it the ways that I do it. Some people might need a little bit more help, like how Sandra does it. Polona with Ascension Pioneers is absolutely amazing in what she does, and she does fantastic videos on that. And for persons that are really needing help with their personal fractals and those atomic dark God particles, which, those of us who have been here in duality for so long, I'm starting to get the messages that we all have that dark particle within us that allowed for duality to be experienced. And that has to be removed before you can start pulling the fractals of self back in and integrate them into the physical vessels, and not be so scattered all throughout the universe and times and timelines and with other people and places that we've had great events in our past lives with. To integrate and become whole, many times we have to remove that dark particle to pull in those fragments, and then we can start expanding into, like I was discussing before, my Arcturian light self and my angelic self, and then working our way back up the ladder. And for those who need help with that vision and outside assistance, Danielle Breen is most amazing with that. And anyway, this time coming up in these next days and weeks to the Planetary Merkabah Alignment in the Lion's Gate, and Lion's Gate culminates on my birthday, August 12th, and does every year. Always have meteor showers that starts on August 11th, ends, it peaks out on August 12th and ends on the 13th, and that's August 11th when the Mayan calendar begins. Anyway, that Lion's Gate, and that comet that we go through at that time is a remnant of Maldak, which was the planet that we first came to the solar system and inhabited and blew up before we went to Mars and came to the Earth schools. This is the completion of the 4th Earth school, and we're going into 5th Earth now. This time for me is very, very sacred. There's a lot of persons who are asking for my assistance and my participation with them to help them out, and I'll do what I can. But this time now, because I've done just that for so many years, I've tried to help everybody who I could out when they would reach out and ask for help. And some people get it, some people don't. And like Sandra says, it's the people that, and Drunvalo says this too, the Sufis say this, if they don't pay for it, then generally they don't want it. Well, I help people because I want to change this monetary system, and I try not to deal with money as much as possible. But sometimes, like the Sufis say, like Sandra Walters says, like Drunvalo says, if persons don't pay, then they don't do the work, and they don't value the information that they're given. And I've had a lot of people comment negatively on my work many times for that very reason. They just can't see it, can't get it, not attuned to it, and they're trying to put it down. And so at this point for me, it's about self, and it's about self in relation to Prime Creator, and it's about channeling those energies into Mother Earth, and it's about creating the new firmament as I showed you here. It's about creating the new world. We've already got the seeds. It's already ready to go in the ground, and we just have to prepare the ground for New Earth, and to send it love. Every time I plant a plant, I'm sending it love. It's like the Hopi, if you go out and you ever work with the Hopi, it's a ceremony planting each ear of corn, each different gourd, each different bean plant, each different everything. It's a ceremony. And in life is a ceremony. For those in that league, playing in that vibration, that level of expansion, it's a spiritual ceremony of life. And and much gratitude for all life forms and all consciousness. Everything's consciousness. Even the sand, every grain of sand here is consciousness. Every little worm, every little... And we don't have worms here. I got to bring some worms in. Part of what all I got to do is make this new soil, new firmament. But anyway, that's what I'm working on. And a lot of persons tell me that they really would like me to continue doing videos, and I will as I can. But in all truth, now it's about my integration as much as I can with the highest parts of myself and who I am as I possibly can be. And the highest part of myself is Prime Creator, and it's the highest part of you and every other consciousness too. It's not just me. It's not an egoic thing, but to channel those energies as much as I can into Mother Earth at this time. And that's where my focus is, to integrate as much of that as I can into this physical being and into Mother Earth. Anyway, that's enough for this video. It's 56:06 as I say that. And guys, I love each and every one of you. And so many people are messaging me asking for assistance right now. Just please understand, I've said all that I can, and I've done all that I can to teach Ascension and to discuss my process. And it's all in the videos that I've posted out. There's 200 videos now that are out there about Ascension and about how I teach it for others to have for free. And it's a giveaway. And now I need to be very focused on my time for me and expand as much as I can. And I know those of you who understand me and what I'm saying, y'all get it. And so anyway, I love you all. And what a miraculous time we're living in. What an incredibly amazing time. And it's a constant state of expansion for all those who choose to do it. Persons who are not choosing to do it, who are thinking it's going to happen to them, they're not experiencing it. For those of us who have done our work, it's a pretty magical time. And so anyway, that's it for this video. Love you all. Bye for now.